Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another Q&A Sunday. Lawler here, going to be breaking down all your guys' questions that you submit from week to week. It is Q&A number 20, and if you guys would like to see this series continue, as always, make sure you leave questions in the comments down below. I do go past videos as well, but most of them, most relevant ones, are usually on these Sunday videos. So make sure you leave your comments down below. Also, before we get into that and all the questions that you guys have asked, as a heads up, I am going to be going out of town, taking a little bit of a trip, business-wise and otherwise. So I will not be home over the course of the next week. If you'd like to see vlog content or anything in that kind of realm, any ideas, things that you'd like to see, whatever it may be, let me know in the comments down below as well. But with that said, let's get straight into the questions. What's up, everybody? Lawler here. Got some Q&A questions for you guys. A little bit of everything, talking about LAN locations, skill ceilings, and arsenal. Should be a fun one to do. So right out of the back, let's crush through these. First one comes from Ham. It says, do you think player who wins MVP at the World Championship should receive an RLCS number MVP title as well as a World Championship title? I think it'd be a cool idea. Yeah, I don't think that titles are that difficult to implement from what I've seen. It's just a matter of what they want to value. I think World Championship MVP should definitely be a title because it is something that they do give a medal out for officially. As long as they don't start to diminish the value of what a title holds. Obviously, getting a World Championship title in some capacity is sweet. The MVP also giving the nod. If they do end up doing that, I think they would need a little bit more refinement to the process. Right now, they basically just ask the commentators like, yo, what do you guys feel? The other weird thing is we haven't had an MVP or any MVP-esque accolades like Golden Striker or Savior of the Season or any of that stuff in the past few seasons, which is really, really crummy. The fact they used to give out prize money for that. I don't think Savior of the Season should be an accolade. I think they should give it to like Deadly Striker for shooting accuracy or percentage or something to that extent. But I think they should just revamp that whole situation altogether. I think they should still provide accolades throughout the entire season and kind of revisit the topic about what they should do. Sit down with some of the players, coaches, casters, all that kind of stuff, and figure it out. But yeah, definitely an MVP title for sure. Maybe the regular season as well as the World Championship, maybe two individual titles because that's how they do it now. It's something that they should definitely discuss. But yeah, an in-game title for MVP of the World Championship would be sick. Next question comes from Zachary Klein. Hey, Lawler, loving the content. Appreciate it. During the RLCS season, do they typically announce when and where the LAN are going to be? Where do you think the LANs will be? And if you do get to pick where the World Championship took place, where would it be? So one's got a lot of different facets to it. So first thing, usually they announce the World Championship along with or as soon as they possibly can. Typically, when it comes to deciding a LAN spot, it's actually done years in advance because the way that booking a venue works and the complications that come with it, you basically have to set aside a time slot for like, yo, we need these dates. And that stuff gets booked up quick for some of these larger venues. I mean, I'm talking when they were booking Amsterdam in season 2, they went the year prior and looked at like 7 or 8 different venues. The production team and everybody else went and traveled to a bunch of different places. And from there, they kind of figure things out, see what they can do, draft up a, I guess, a proposal to Psyonix, and then say, hey, this is what we were thinking of doing. Do you guys like it? So there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving parts of what goes into the actual LAN location. And sometimes this is done in years in advance. The difficulty right now with there being no LANs really possible due to COVID, this becomes harder and harder. So normally when they announce it as soon as they can. Sometimes that's literally at the beginning of the season. I know we've done it in the past, like after the first or second week of league play, it's just like, yep, here's LAN. This is where it's at. They've done it as well with like LAN announcement or even RLCS announcements, usually at the end of the season. But stuff is very complicated right now due to the fact that there is a global pandemic going on. So I assume that's why a lot of things aren't being announced, just because they're kind of have to play it by ear. It's very difficult to schedule and get these things done ahead of time when we don't know the status of travel restrictions and all that kind of stuff, and it's on a day-to-day basis. It makes it very, very complicated. Because there's a production partner for RLCS with DreamHack ESL, I am a firm believer that DreamHack locations will become the locations for majors. So at the end of a split, if there is a DreamHack going on, that is where the international major will take place. I have a pretty firm belief that that is the scenario, unless they find a standard venue that they can do over and over again. As for the World Championships, I assume if they do another one, it's going to be somewhere in the United States. If things get cleared up, if the United States finally figures things out, and vaccinations and stuff start to happen again, then I could see it, and most definitely being in the United States. But and that's primarily due to Dallas being canceled. But if it does not, you're going to be looking at other countries like Poland and Ukraine, like we're seeing for the Uplay, like other locations that are kind of off the beaten path that aren't necessarily the biggest hotspot, just because COVID's not as big as a deal there. Anything like that is probably the go-to, but you can see it from other LAN locations for like Valorant and stuff like that, of where things are going. I mean, you look at how IWO was handled. Things to that nature is where you're probably going to find a LAN location if they decide to do a LAN. But Epic Games has already stated that no LANs until early 2020 at the soonest in Q1. So we're probably going to be waiting a little bit. It'll be depending on what happens. So if things are all back to normal, North America, doubting they will be, somewhere in Europe if they do. That is my assumption. That's the way I would look at it. I personally want it to be in my backyard or on a boat. Boat LAN. Sign me up. I talked about boat LAN where like the early stages are held on the boat and then they dock, and then on the beach is where the LAN finals and stuff would be. Super cool. Next question comes from Pilot Jack. Has Rocket League skill ceiling reached its maximum level? No, I think the skill ceiling is actually unlimited. Or do you think the meta and the skill ceiling has room to improve? In the earlier RLCS seasons, the overall skill level would improve every season, but it seems like that won't translate to RLCS X to 11, since there isn't really anything else we can do to skyrocket skill levels unless a major mechanical feature is added to the game. Fun fact, Jack, we all had that same mentality, and then every season we continue to see something different. Meta does change, and even though we haven't seen such a large difference, like season 1 to 2, we started seeing a little bit more passing plays. 2 to 3, we saw a lot of backboard material. 3 to 4, we started seeing infield passes, and it started improving from there. And then you started to see more of the mechanic focus with flip resets and double taps and all that kind of nonsense that these guys do, ceiling shots, you name it. I don't necessarily think there will ever need to be a new mechanic introduced. I think people are just going to take current mechanics and continue to improve them or become more efficient with them. The beauty of a physics-based game like Rocket League is the skill ceiling will never reach its peak simply because of the human element. People are not perfect. People make mistakes. Therefore, we will never see peak Rocket League consistently. It is always going to be a factor of how are people playing on the day. Which is why Rocket League has so much potential and why is it so exciting to watch the game, even though at its core, it's very, very basic. We don't see any map diversity. We don't really see any car diversity nowadays. But games are still really exciting because of that human element. It's the benefit of our esport and to many others at that point. So I don't think we will ever reach the maximum level because I don't think it's humanly possible. If you guys don't know what task bots are, or if you have never watched a task run through like AGDQ or something, I highly recommend going and looking at like Celeste or something like that, where they show what it is possible when you have a bot that is programmed to do everything perfect versus a human. There's some pretty crazy stuff, but yeah, I don't think we'll ever reach a skill ceiling. I do agree that we are starting to plateau a little bit, not necessarily in the sense of like how the game is played, because people are playing better than they ever have, but I do agree that it's not at such a rapid rate where you're seeing these drastic changes in skill and everything else. But people are getting better and better at the game. They are starting to play a little bit more simplified, which then enables the high profile stuff to excel a little bit when you are a particular player that exceeds in that. But primarily the teams that are performing really well are ones that are working on consistency, and then when they are feeling it that day, that's when you see the pop off and stuff like that. So yeah, going to the fundamentals, making sure that you play a really clean game, and then on the day of, you hope that Justin or Squishy or Garrett pops off. It's kind of how it goes nowadays. Next question comes from Zach. Do you think players in lower ranks can grind to relevancy and become a pro, or will players at the top continue to get better along with us, and it will be unlikely to catch up? The best examples I can give, number one, and as I mentioned in the title, Arsenal. Arsenal is a player who started in 2017 and was a pro by 2019. I think it was like 18 months or something like that, and he went from being a lower level player like Champ Diamond or something like that to professional play. But he was also putting in like 140 hours every 2 weeks. It is possible. Free to play, and people who are new to the game get a lot of benefits that people like myself did not have when we started. Mechanics, how to do them, tutorials, guides, all that stuff is readily available to anybody who wants to go and find it. You are also, when at a younger age, your brain's still developing, you retain and absorb information at a much faster rate. And case in point, look at the Oskis, Daniels, all these new people coming in. That is, from my opinion, never going to change. You're always going to have a new influx in talent as long as they are enticed to continue to play at the pro level. So as long as RLCS keeps doing its job and enticing players to be like, yo, I want to go pro, this could be awesome, I can earn a living doing this, then you're going to continue to see new talent come in. Understand it's going to be a small select few, but that's how it is. The people who make it as professionals are the 0.0001%. They're the best of the best in the world. So I think it's possible, 100%. I don't know when the first free-to-play professional, someone who has only started playing Rocket League post free-to-play, I don't know when that first player will be in the RLCS, but again, I'm sure it'll be sooner than later because that's just the way it goes. There's going to be that one person that's just like, they just get it. It comes naturally and they're crazy good. So I'll be looking forward to that moment. I'll probably do a video on it too, which I'm looking forward to, as long as I'm still around here when that happens. That's up to you guys though. Question comes from Jordan Cornman. Says, I actually have a really good question. Yeah, that's what you think. Jokes aside, I was looking through some of your old videos like 4 years ago. Damn, that's a deep dive. Don't ask. I'm asking. Jordan, why are you looking at my videos from 4 years ago? They're pretty rough. I saw one regarded Rocket League being broadcasted on NBC. Did this ever happen, and why did they stop? So NBC did the Universal Open, which was a 2v2 event that KDOP and Violent Panda won. That interview with Axelos is absolutely hilarious because KDOP pretends to not understand the question, so he doesn't have to do the interview. Fun times.
I don't understand.
They did a 2v2 event. I think they did 2 of them, if I remember correctly, but they did the Universal Open, to where we got memes from like Sizzle Your Cobb and all that kind of stuff came to be. Those events kind of teetered out of existence due to the fact that RLCS and all these other events became more prolific. When you have 4 majors going on, when you have a bunch of focus on the RLCS and it's a 10.5-month season, there's not really a whole lot of time for other tournament organizers to make things happen. The other difficulty too is the same relevancy to the Intel World Open. The Intel World Open is a cool event all in all, but when you are taking time away from the standard team, if I am a professional team in the RLCS, I play with my dedicated 3 players, and you're telling me I need to go and practice and scrim 2v2s or something else, it takes away from the thing that I'm trying to focus on, which is a professional with my 3v3 team. That is the standard level of play, and it is what most professionals want to put their time and effort towards. Although these other tournaments are cool, it takes away from what your purpose is as a professional. And that's part of the reason. I think the difficulty is a lot of people want professional 1v1 and 2v2 RLCS tournaments, but when you do that, you are segregating your player base. And yes, you may have some newer players come in, but it's also going to probably hurt your mainstay, which is your 3v3 for the RLCS. So I assume it's because it's 2v2 tournament. It also could be due to disinterest, or maybe sponsorship things, or maybe viewership wasn't good enough. There's a bunch of different reasons as to why. Also, another thing with a lot of moving parts between putting it on broadcast, on TV, getting the scheduling correctly, and everything else going on. It also could just be because of COVID. You never know. But primarily, I assume it's because it was a 2v2 tournament, and that kind of just hinders the whole 3v3 thing. Last but not least, Brahm says, ever thought about making some kind of stream highlights channel? Yes, I am well aware that it is good to diversify my content. The difficulty is more of a time management thing between streaming and full-time videos and trying to do casting gigs and all that kind of stuff, as well as coaching whenever I get the heck. Still got to put up the Patreon. I haven't done that yet. It's pretty time consuming. It's really tough. And as great as it would be to hire an editor and do all that kind of stuff, that costs money. I also don't think that channel would really do anything for the amount of time and effort that it would take for it to actually be beneficial. I don't think it would be possible. In the future, I do plan to do a like Lawler Plays or like a Lawler something type of YouTube channel, where even though this video is focused on Rocket League stuff and Rocket League news, that channel will be everything. All the other games I play, all the other interests I have, where it's more so people who are fans of me and not fans of Rocket League news. Creating that separation. Stuff that's personal to my branding as compared to like, oh, hey, this guy who talks about Rocket League news, he also plays video games and plays FPS and battle royales and strategy games and RPGs and does goofy stuff on stream. Eventually, that's where I would like to go. I would like my YouTube to become my primary, and that's what this channel is trying to become, is this channel becomes my primary source of income and all that kind of stuff. And then when that happens, I can turn my live streams and a second YouTube channel into a, we're just hanging out, having fun. People are enjoying it for the content that it is, rather than a specific niche that this channel is. So plans in the future, but as of right now, the pro and con, or the opportunity cost of putting in that time and effort into a secondary channel, just doesn't pay off right now. maybe in the future, maybe when I can afford a second editor, all that kind of stuff. Easier said than done. So plans to, just not really possible right now. Appreciate the question though. Speaking of a secondary channel and trying to get things going, I can't do that without your guys' support. If you guys do enjoy this content, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe. More subscribers we get, more notifications people get, the more views these videos get, the more content I can provide for y'all, and the more I can pay my editor, which I'm sure he would love to hear that as well. Wojtek, I'd love to bring you on full time, man. I just can't afford it. Big sat. Either way, I do appreciate you guys all taking the time to leave comments, all that kind of stuff. If you guys would like questions to be answered for next week, make sure you leave them on this video in the comments down below, as well as any vlog-based content, as I'm going to be traveling here in a bit. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Links to everything I'm talking about down below, along with all my socials, along with the subscribe button. Go click it. Trying to hit 50,000 subs by the end of the year. That is going to do it for me, and we'll see you next time. Peace.